What's up, airplane collectors? Welcome to a model review. It's your host, Ray. In today's video, I'll be reviewing the NG model 1:400 scale Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-800 wearing the Illinois 1 special livery. In today's video, I'll talk about the box, then the model itself, and at the end of the video, I will give my personal opinion about what I think of the model and whether or not I recommend it to other collectors. That being said, let's get this review started. Starting off with the box is the standard issue NG Model 737 box in terms of size at 13 centimeters lengthwise and height-wise and 4 centimeters wide. I'll show you around the box now. So here's the front, bottom, right side, top, left side, and here's the back side. Once you open up the box, you get the model fully assembled, painted, and ready to go, and you also get a pink Collector Rewards program card. And here's the model itself. Before I begin the review, I'm going to give you a quick 360 of the model. The fuselage length for this model is 10 centimeters, the wingspan is 9 centimeters, and it's about 3 centimeters tall. Accurate to 1:400 scale and relatively small compared to most things. Despite being made out of die-cast metal, this model is relatively light, which is quite interesting. Starting up the review at the front of the aircraft, here we can see the nose section of the plane. Nose shape looks good as per usual with the NG Model 737-800 mold. Lots and lots of painted and printed detail up here at the front of the aircraft. All of it looks pretty good. There's an incredible amount of detail with this printed detail, and I see no issues with it. You can see the eagle, the banner it's holding, the Illinois 1 logo, and even a small heart logo by the door. All of it looks pretty good. As we move down the fuselage, you can see more of the Illinois 1 special livery, the rest of the eagle, a shield, what appears to be a sunrise or sunset. All of it looks pretty good. The registration here is rather hard to read. I'm not sure if this light gray text is accurate or not, but it's pretty hard to read, which I'm not sure why that is, but if that's accurate to the airplane, it's accurate. Here's the vertical stabilizer. Paint application here looks good. There's a decent amount of molded detail for the rudder, and the printed detail with the American flag and the Southwest Airlines logo also looks pretty good. No complaints up here so far. The right side of the fuselage is virtually the same as the left side, just a mirror image, so I won't provide much commentary here. I can say all of the same things about the right side of the fuselage as I can say about the left side of the fuselage. No complaints so far. Everything looks pretty good. Moving on to the wings have plenty of details, including painted, printed, and molded details. Here you can see the paint on the forward slats looks pretty good. The printed section here looks nice, and the overwing exits look good. And of course, plenty of molded detail for the control surfaces, all of which looks pretty solid. The scimitar tip looks good. Unfortunately, NG still hasn't fixed their 737 mold, and the bottom scimitar is a little bit too long, still within acceptable margins though, and everything looks good here. Bottom of the wing has painted and molded detail, but no printed detail. And I should mention that the brown fairings here, I believe that's what they're called, these are accurate, and it's quite a nice detail that NG decided to include, so that's pretty nice to see. Aside from that, there's really not much to see down here, so no complaints overall on the wings. Moving to the rear section of the aircraft, here we can see the horizontal stabilizers and the APU. Horizontal stabilizers don't have any printed detail on them, but they still look pretty good nonetheless. Oh my god, look at the glossiness on that. That's pretty cool. And the bottom looks pretty good. Down here you can see the point where a lot of these painted details meet, and it seems as though there's no asymmetry, so everything looks symmetrical, which is pretty nice. Down here there's just these APU access doors as well. These look pretty good. No complaints so far. And the APU, it's just shaded dark gray, which looks pretty solid. No complaints. Moving on to the engines. The engines overall look pretty good. You can see all sorts of painted and printed detail on these with the bottom half of the shield on the engine. Looks pretty good from the top. The exhaust nozzle looks good, painted a dark metallic gray, and these fan blades look pretty nice. Mounting of the engines onto the aircraft looks good, and you can see that the shield logo does align correctly with the engine, which looks really nice. I did notice on the bottom of the engines, though, there are some distinct dark brown lines where the brown sections meet up, so I guess the paint here overlapped in a way, so that's I guess an issue to note. But printed detail down here, it looks pretty good, and it seems accurate, so No complaints except for the issue with the brown paint overlapping. In terms of aerial details, this model features antennas and communication domes. There are two antennas on the top of the aircraft, a large antenna in the center of the fuselage, and a small one near the vertical stabilizer, and one sat dome right here in the rear section of the aircraft. These look pretty good. I haven't seen any reports of any arriving broken or damaged to collectors, so quality control, I'm going to assume, was pretty good. And at the bottom of the aircraft, we have three large antennas, one at the front section of the aircraft, and two near the mid/rear section of the aircraft. These look pretty good as well. Here's a look at the bottom of the aircraft if you were curious. This is where all of the logos from the sides and top of the fuselage meet up. Moving on to the landing gear. The landing gear in this model are pretty nice. Recently, NG model has had an issue with their landing gear being bent forwards towards the front of the aircraft. However, on this example here, it appears as though they are bent ever so slightly backwards, which is accurate, so no complaints there. And you can also see the rim of the main landing gear is painted brown to match the brown underside of the aircraft, which is a very nice detail that NG decided to include, which is very nice. Details of the landing gear themselves are pretty good, and the wheels roll smoothly on my example here, so quality control was good. Here's what the nose gear looks like. Nose gear looks pretty solid, no complaints there. I did see a little bit of a gray stain on the, okay, you can barely see it, but there's a gray stain on the tire of the left wheel here on the main lane, on the nose landing gear. But nonetheless, it still looks pretty good, and the wheel rolls smoothly, so I won't complain. Here's a look at the front of the aircraft. Here we can see engine clearance, wing flex, gear balance, and cockpit window printing. Wing flex looks good. No complaints on the wing flex. NG has historically had good wing flex on their 737s. Gear balance looks good. Cockpit window printing looks pretty symmetrical. The vertical stabilizer might be tilted a little bit towards the left side of the aircraft, which is rather odd to see. But aside from that, everything else looks good up here. So only complaint I have is the bent vertical stabilizer. And that concludes the review. Now time for my personal opinion and recommendation. This model is really impressive, both in terms of quality control and just the livery itself. All of the details are captured very nicely, and I noticed no issues with any of the printing or the painting, which is pretty impressive for a livery as complex as this one, which is very nice to see. And quality control, for the most part, was good. As I said earlier, the vertical stabilizer looks a little bit odd, but aside from that, I didn't really notice anything else that was off or wrong about the model, and also the brown paint at the bottom of the engines. But really, those are relatively minor things, and I haven't seen any examples of this model broken or with any severe issues that are unfixable, so yeah, quality control was really good. Therefore, I absolutely recommend this model to any collector who wants one. It's a beautiful livery in my opinion, and a bit of a more personal opinion about the model. The box art is really cool. I really like how they put the eagle right there just right on the box, so big. It's very cool. I really like the livery. Personally, it's one of my favorite special liveries. And of course, as an Illinois native and resident, I kind of have to enjoy my own state livery. And just in general, it's a very nice airplane. It's a very nice looking airplane. It's a very nice model. And I really, really like this model. Well, thanks so much for watching. Thank you for listening to my little TED Talk there at the end. That concludes this review. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop those down below in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more airplane and siren content if I stop procrastinating. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care.